Welcome. You're probably going to get tired of seeing me. I'll be here for a couple of sessions. Jan Searleman and I co-direct the SIGGRAPH archive. And as you saw earlier with some of the artwork, we have two versions of this. And so we're going to focus a little bit on how we expanded the vision through the teamwork that we've been, the teamwork that builds this archive. And it is quite a large team of people. Oh, no, it's not advancing. That goes with the mouse click and then with the space. Okay, sorry about that. First of all, let me tell you a little bit about SIGGRAPH. They started in 1974. They're a very cross-disciplinary type of content in this archive. We started with they started with technical papers, but now they've really expanded to include art and VR and emerging technologies, all kinds of different types of content that we had to really think about when we started this new archive. They also have a number of publications, hundreds and hundreds of publications. And I also have started a physical archive of those publications, and we're digitizing them at the moment. It has a lot of communities and committees within SIGGRAPH. And so that's another thing that we had to consider in this archive. And it is very much a work in progress. We have not added a lot of information about these committees and communities, but it is in the plan to do that. We started off as the Art Show Archives, and now we have expanded that to the entire SIGGRAPH history, which is quite huge. Our goals, and our goal really is to get all of that content from 1974 to the present. Our big challenge is finding the information, which is really slowing us down in many cases. And so what we've been doing is digging into people's personal archives. We started with mine and a few others. I'm self-professed hoarder, and so I had quite an archive. We're scanning those proceedings. We've got lots of earlier websites, but prior to that, we have just a lot of documents that we're accessing. And so for the online information, we are missing a lot of information. We're missing images, but fortunately what happened is we got an email from the University of Waterloo, and they said, hey, we're redoing our lab. We've got years and years and years of materials from SIGGRAPH. Do you want it? So I drove up there with a van, picked it up. Fortunately, my university gave me an office, and I have some student workers. And so we are now doing a physical archive as well. And Jan's going to talk about the interns and volunteers.
So this archive would not be at all possible without the many dedicated students, interns, and volunteers working on our content management, on graphic design, and programming tasks. And we're in different countries and different time zones. So we do it by, first of all, having a meeting every Friday. In the next slide, Bonnie. And on Zoom, here the groups meet in smaller groups, and we talk about what progress we've made. We discuss problems, how we solve them, and then what tasks we're going to work on as well. Bonnie and I also meet throughout the week. Go back, Donnie, and go back to the previous slide. Okay, and you can see we use some tools such as Trello to keep track of things, and also extensive use of Google Drive, shared drives, and spreadsheets. Now I'm ready for the next slide. Another essential resource are the computer graphics pioneers. We pioneers have been working in computer graphics for decades. It's especially important to fill in some of the early years here. And I especially want to thank Mary Whitten for helping to secure funding to pay some of those students and for Pete Segal for filling in a lot of the gaps. Next slide. When we went beyond the art show, we had to include all of the SIGGRAPH North America conferences and SIGGRAPH Asia conferences. Next slide. We also look at the additional things. So Yuichiro Kawaguchi not only has extensive artworks in there, but he also taught courses. He got awards. He did animations. In looking at contributors by type. On the next slide. You can see the art papers chairs such as Everardo Reyes, but we also had to include things like animation directors. On our next slide. The many experiences in SIGGRAPH include things like the Animation Festival and Electronic Theater, emerging technologies, and so on. We added all that. In learning, we added panels and courses and etc. We also needed to add awards, such as the Distinguished Artist Award. And in the next slide, the fun part of attending conferences, sometimes bringing back memories, are collectibles, such as hats and t-shirts and pins that we have added to our archives. So this is a snapshot of what we have. You can see we've filled in a lot of good artworks here, but we have a long way to go and a lot of work to go to complete this archive. So thank you, and please visit our archive and get in touch with us if you have some questions, comments, or maybe you have one of those pins that we're missing. Thank you.